welcome back to Getaway Day. This is This Week in Baseball for the week of April 18th, 2024. I am Mason. With me today is Thomas, our editor, my good friend, our resident Canadian. So, T-Rad, thank you very much for joining us today and helping us out. So,
I'm happy to be here.
We've had quite a bit of stuff going on in Major League Baseball this week. So we're going to try and get through some of the highlights here because we're not going to be able to hit everything. So I think the best way to maybe start this is what have been the biggest stories of the week. And the best way to do that is, who would you consider the player of the week? I have one that I think is deserving of a player of the week title. I believe you've picked one as well.
I have.
All right.
I have as well.
Let's go ahead and hear your player of the week for the week of April 18th, 2024.
My player of the week goes to a player that prior to this week, the week before, from March 31st to April 6th, hit 111 with 2 hits, one being a double, and just looked pretty bad, to be honest. He was striking out a lot. He had 5 strikeouts in 18 at-bats and just really didn't seem like himself. And so I'm giving this week's player of the week, for me anyway, to Dalton Varsho of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Homer.
Not only, well, yes, but also this week alone, the last 7 games, 21 at-bats, 7 hits, 4 of them are home runs. With a .333 batting average, a .952 slug, still struck out 5 times, but with Dalton Varsho, that's kind of expected. 2 walks and a stolen base. And the Jays just took 2 of 3 from the Yankees. So, and Dalton Varsho being a large part of that. And one of those home runs was also a grand slam. So he's starting to drive the ball a lot more, starting to show a lot more of that power that the Jays traded for, even though it involved trading Gabriel Moreno. But, you know, that lives in my dreams. Well, I guess they're nightmares, honestly. But no, and Dalton Varsho is also a phenomenal outfielder. The fact that he led the majors in defensive runs saved last year and did not even get nominated for a Gold Glove, I think he was nominated, but I don't think he won, is kind of beyond me. So I'm giving it to Dalton Varsho. I know there's people that are watching this right now on Twitch that are absolutely getting their pitchforks ready for me to say Juan Soto, but I'm not going to, simply out of spite, because I saw Mason over here in a Yankees hat earlier today, and so I immediately was like...
Technically, you saw me in a Yankees hat next Monday.
Well, technically, but I also... You don't know when I saw you last, though I saw you earlier today. So... And you were wearing a Yankees hat, and now you're wearing a Mariners hat, so...
I'm a man of many hats.
I'm a man of one hat.
No. You are not a Renaissance man, my friend.
Well, my hat is the Toronto Blue Jays, and that's why Dalton Varsho is my player of the week.
See, I'm going to surprise you with my player of the week because when you pick someone to spite a franchise, I'm picking someone in spite of a franchise. My player of the week, 2019 first round pick by the Dodgers, got traded to the Chicago Cubs this offseason. That is first baseman Michael Busch. Michael Busch had 5 consecutive games from April 10th until April 15th with a home run. In that span, he hit .360 with a .467 OBP and a 1,000 slugging. His BABIP and his batting average, identical. he did strike out 9 times in those 25 ABs, but when you're basically striking out or getting a hit, the dude did not ground out. He did not pop out. It was legitimately strikeout, walk, or hit.
So quite literally a true outcome type player.
A 3 true outcome player, yes. Well, sort of, because he had quite a few singles. He had he had 3 singles. My bad. He had 3 singles. So
it is an outcome.
Oh, I totally just biffed my math. Okay, so hold on. 9 strikeouts, 5 walks, that's 14. And he had 9 hits, which is 23. So, okay, he got out twice. That was not strikeouts.
No.
My bad. I can't math.
Okay. That's okay. I take back my true outcome then.
It is what it is. But yeah, Michael Busch has just been awesome. I think we all kind of expected him to be a really good player when he was in the Dodgers organization. There was nowhere for him to play. Once Freddie Freeman came up, like, Michael Busch is not a good enough defender to put at third base, period. He's just not. So
there's also the fact that the Dodgers spent an unwholesome amount of money in the offseason.
That doesn't really affect him. He's a guy that's making the league minimum.
Well, it was also the fact that they traded him clearly to clear a roster spot.
Yes. That's
the only reason they traded him.
Yeah, the Dodgers did do a significant of that, of trading good, ready now players just to clear 40-man spots. And in return, they're getting young prospects that'll hopefully be ready by the time that some of the current guys are off the club. Michael Busch was one of those guys. The Cubs recognized that and realized that one of their biggest needs was a corner infielder with power. Because up until Michael Busch came along, Patrick Wisdom was kind of that guy. Patrick Wisdom has been very inconsistent in the course of his career. And Michael Busch has a lot higher ceiling than Patrick Wisdom ever did. So it was a great trade for the Cubs, and it is really starting to pay off. So that was his last week, but his season-long stats look equally as impressive. In 66 plate appearances, he's batting .304, .394, .679 for a 183 WRC plus with 6 home runs. So most of his home runs did come in that 5-game barrage, but he's been really good so far this entire season. So congratulations to Michael Busch on becoming my inaugural Player of the Week.
I'm also just going to point out, for the sake of everyone watching and listening on Spotify and YouTube, this was my idea. I just came up with this literally an hour ago.
It's true. I can't claim that. All right.
But if you like it, let us know. Let us know, and
we'll try and remember to do it every week, and then we'll inevitably forget, and it'll be like everything else. It'll be great.
Hey, I will remind you. Heck, I will make a graphic if I have to.
You haven't always reminded me to invite Craig.
I did this time, though.
Yes, you did this time. All right, but moving on back to the baseball. Unfortunately, Cardinals legend, Hall of Fame manager, guy from basically pretty much right near my hometown that my aunt actually knows, and I have his autographed bobblehead right here. Whitey Herzog passed away at 92 years old. Whitey was manager to the Cardinals from 1980 all the way to 1990. Before that, he was with the Royals, the Angels, and the Rangers, all as a manager. He coached for a couple different clubs and had actually played as well. Let's see, where's his... I thought I had his major league stats. Where'd they just go? I think he played across 8 different... Yeah, so he played across 8 different seasons with the Washington Senators, the version that became the Twins, the Kansas City Athletics, the Baltimore Orioles, and the Detroit Tigers. So Whitey had been around baseball basically his entire life. The Cardinals won a World Series with him. There was an entire style of baseball named after him called Whitey Ball, the small ball, stolen bases, bunt singles, moving people around the bases without even having to drive it into the outfield. And in the most fitting way possible, yesterday, on the day that his death was announced, the Cardinals won 3-2, scoring all of their runs without hitting a ball into the outfield. Speed and contact won that game for the Cardinals on the day of Whitey's death, which is probably the biggest not celebration. What's the best way that they could possibly honor him? Victor Scott, even before the season, someone asked him what kind of player he was, and he self-described himself as a Whitey ball player. And this is before the season. Like, what Whitey Herzog means to the Cardinals and kind of baseball at large, I don't think can be overstated. He kind of set an entire style for the 80s and 90s for across the league. He took this team to a championship, the team that he grew up rooting for. And he's been around the Cardinals ever since in a kind of advisory capacity. He's at opening day every single year, including 2 weeks ago, the Cardinals opening day. He was there. This is the first year that he wasn't able to go in the parade of cars and walk out onto the field and shake hands with all the players, but he was there. And it's really, really sad to see him go. So, yeah. So that happened this week. Got anything on Whitey Herzog, or should we go to the happy stuff?
But as a just kind of being a Jays fan, I never really knew a lot about Herzog, so I was just letting that go straight to you. Right. I was letting you take that. So,
all right. So let's go and talk about the next generation. The next generation of superstars. The number one prospect in all of Major League Baseball, Jackson Holliday, got the call to the majors. And he has had a little bit of a rough time adjusting so far. He got his first hit a couple days in, but he has gone 1 for 25 with 14 strikeouts. It kind of feels like he's pressing a bit, because that one hit that he did have, he laced a single down the first base line. Or double? Laced a double?
I think it was a double.
Yeah, laced a double down the first base line and looked comfortable. But since then, it kind of seems like he's pressing for that second hit, that first homer. So hopefully he settles in and can figure it out. But ever since he's come up, some of the guys around him have been playing even better as well. So kind of feels like he might get sent back down, but also they might let him just figure it out here, because there was nothing else for him to learn at AAA. The dude was hitting like 600.
I think he might end up getting kind of like that, not like the Mike Trout treatment, but when you get sent back down and then you kind of just get your confidence back.
Yeah.
Because right now you end up pressing just purely because you feel like you should be hitting better than you are. And I feel like that's kind of where Jackson Holliday's at right now, is it's not necessarily trying for that first homer. It's just trying to prove that he should be there, when the only thing he has to do is beat Jackson freaking Holliday. That's all he has to do, which I know is easier said than done. But if you send him back down to the minors for, I think it's 10 days minimum, I think.
Yeah, unless there's an injury, I think.
Yeah, unless there's an injury. Then you just let him go down there. He can rebuild himself, get his confidence back, and then come back up and be the player that the Baltimore Orioles know he can be. Because they wouldn't have called him up if they didn't think that he was ready for this.
Yeah.
And I think now it's Jackson Holliday needs to just know for himself that he's ready and able to do this. And I don't think it's necessarily something that he's sitting there subconsciously going, I don't know if I'm ready for this, because I think he's as confident as anyone else. in the world that he should be up. But baseball's a cruel sport like that, where it's just sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way, or just different adjustments that just have to be made because the league's going to figure you out. Right now, I am staring at a cat's tail.
That is correct.
But
she also muted into the mic and it actually picked it up.
Oh, let's go. I didn't hear it because I was talking. But no, I feel like Jackson Holliday is going to be fine, whether they do send him down or not. That AAA team's stacked enough as is that he doesn't even need to go down. But if he does, then he'll be fine. But I think he'll figure it out sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think he will too. Another player who is about to get his first crack at the major leagues, the second overall pick back in 2021, picked right after Henry Davis, out of high school, I believe. No, sorry, out of Vanderbilt.
No,
Out of Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt.
Yep, my bad. Jack Leiter. This will be a second and a half generation, if you count his uncle, in the major leagues. He this year in the minors has been awesome. He's only pitched 14 and a third innings across 2 starts. But in that time, he has struck out 43% of the batters, only walked 5%. And he is dominating everybody he faces right now. And with the Rangers having basically every possible starting pitcher on the IL again, they kind of need some innings, and they need some good innings. Behind Eovaldi and John Gray, everything's a little bit sketcy. And so he's going to come in and start on Thursday. Actually, that's the day this comes out. So yeah, he's starting tonight. So go watch that. I think that'll be fun. Jack Leiter is a really, really good young pitcher.
I feel like, and Mason, you can obviously chip in on this as well. I feel like the next generation of players is major league ready sooner.
Yes.
Than we've ever seen.
Yes, that is correct.
And I feel like a lot of that goes like credit to the schools, like the NCAA programs that are getting these players ready. Because we saw it last year with Nolan Shanwell, got drafted and then was like immediately, like not immediately, but by the end of the season, he was up. He's obviously struggling a bit right now, but I think his average, I don't know if he's got it back up over 200 yet, but like, it's actually really incredible to see that these players are coming from college and they're spending minimal amount of time before getting that call up. So if you're a fan of young players, it's happening sooner and much more rapidly than I think I was even expecting it to.
So it's a credit to the kind of improvement of college baseball and kind of coming in and like, it's no longer a route for players who aren't going to make it to the majors, because it kind of seemed like for a long time, if you didn't just go play in the minors and work your way up, you probably weren't going to get to the majors. But college competition now is so good that you can go to college for 3 or even 4 years, continue developing. They have all the same technology as major league clubs. Then you go into the professionals and you start in triple A, and you can work your way up pretty quick. And hitters, it seems like, move a lot faster than pitchers. But even then, we've seen some pitchers come up pretty darn fast. Who's it a couple years ago from, was it Garrett Crochet?
Was it Crochet?
That was drafted and started like the next year or the same year? I feel like there was somebody for the White Sox that did it.
The only other one I was thinking of...
Yeah, it was Crochet. Okay. That's what I thought. 2020.
The only other one I was thinking of that came up pretty quick, but obviously right now is, just struggling like crazy, was Alek Manoah, because he got drafted 2019, made his debut in 21.
Yeah.
and has kind of fallen off a cliff since. But
Yeah, but I mean, the other part is even the high school players are getting up faster. Like we've seen a
yeah,
significant number of 19, 20-year-old kids coming up and actually making it to the majors. Now, to do that at 19 or 20, you have to be like a generational talent, like a Jackson Holliday, like a Jackson Churio, like, well, I mean, they weren't American high school kids, but like Ronald Acuna and Juan Soto and Mike Trout and kind of those guys. But
and Vladdy.
yeah. So, but you have to have like that talent level to be able to do it. But it seems like we're seeing it a lot more often.
It really does. And I mean, that can only be good for the sport, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it'll be kind of nice. I do have a couple fears, especially when it comes to the arm injuries, a topic that we have not broached on the podcast yet, but we're waiting for Gotham to come back to do that one. I do think that there's going to be a couple of things as far as like pitcher arm injuries that might be worsened by this whole trend, but you know, whatever. Justin Verlander. He is going to be finally back on the field on Friday. His first start of the season for Houston. So JV is not the same guy he was in 2019, not the same guy he was in 2022 even, but we're hoping he can get back closer to that level of pitching and help the currently last place Houston Astros out of a hole.
That feels so weird to say.
It does. It does.
It's
when you're behind
like,
the A's and the Angels.
Like, I didn't say it, but it felt weird hearing you say it.
Yeah. It was weird. I didn't like it. I mean, I kind of did. But
there's like the
like
secret
I
part
also didn't like it.
The small part of you that like secretly enjoys it.
Fourth place. I would love to say fourth place. I do not want to put anybody behind Oakland.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Nobody deserves that. Not even Oakland. All right, last on our list for today. The injury bus has stopped again. And this time it loaded up with, surprisingly, not any pitcher arm injuries, but we do have two pitchers who have hit the IL. Yu Darvish for the Padres. He's on the 15-day IL with neck tightness. Garrett Whitlock for the Red Sox has gone on the IL with an oblique injury. Then we've had two superstar hitters hit the IL, both with back strains, and that would be Chris Bryant, the oft-injured Chris Bryant of the Colorado Rockies, owners of tied for second worst record in baseball through 18 games. Check out the episode on Monday to hear me rant about that. And Christian Yelich is out with a back strain again. That back strain is kind of what did him in his post MVP seasons. Whenever he kind of fell off there, he was dealing with a lot of back injuries, back spasms. So not a great sign for Christian Yelich. Hopefully it's only a 10-day stretch that he's there on the IL, which for hitters is the minimum, 15 for pitchers, if in case you don't remember. But that is our list of MLB injuries for the week. So, T-Rad, do you have any closing thoughts?
I'm just glad that none of them were starting pitchers that were dealing with shoulder injuries.
Shoulder or UCL?
Yeah, shoulder, elbow, anything like that. I mean, Yu Darvish with neck tightness.
That's not
sometimes
great.
But sometimes your neck gets tight, you know?
I mean, my back has been tight literally the entire day. I haven't been able to bend down. My cat threw up this morning, and it took me hours of ibuprofen before I could even bend down to clean it. That's how bad it was.
Nobody that's listening to this podcast wanted to know that.
We can delete it. We can delete it in the editing.
We can. We'll
delete it in the editing.
But and then obviously back tightness with or back strains with Yelly and Chris Bryant or whatever the back related injury. Those are always hard to deal with too. So I mean, if you're wanting a positive, there was no UCLs hurt in the making of this podcast that we know of.
Well,
So-
my UCL, but I don't count.
Dang it, Mason, again?
Yeah. I was playing with my baseball card opening knife, and things got a little crazy. Oops.
But no, other than that, I think, injuries happen. I think a lot of the time with some of these injuries, it's if it was closer to like October, you probably see them try to push through it, but it's early. There's no sense in trying to push someone through an injury like this now and try to keep them as fresh as possible for the later stretch of the year.
Yep. All right. That is all we have for you guys for this week. Make sure to check back in on Monday for a new episode about some of the slowest starts in baseball. And then we'll be back here recording live on Twitch on Wednesday again for next week's This Week in Baseball. It will be coming out on Thursday. So thank you very much for joining us. We hope to be back on our regular 2 episodes a week schedule from this point forward. Things have gotten a little hectic, so probably could have communicated that a little bit better, but we're back. We're going strong, so thank you very much, and we will see you guys next time.
If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting app and YouTube to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Getaway Day Pod. If you enjoy card collecting, check out our sister YouTube channel at Getaway Day Cards.